Nowhere Else to Go, Chapter 4, A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction. If you missed the previous parts, check the description box for links or click on the card in the upper right corner of this video for the playlist. As always, enjoy the story! It was past midnight, and as had become customary for the past few days, Marinette was in her bed with all the lights off, not sleeping. "Why does he come back so late every night?" Marinette complained. "And he leaves so early every morning. He's going to tire himself out." "He's still patrolling, isn't he?" Tiki asked in response. The Ladybug had reported on that. Ladybug had joined his patrol that evening and tried to ask again why he had started doing it, in hopes it might help him open up about what was going on, but he just changed the topic. Since nothing was happening and Ladybug couldn't hide her restlessness, he had told her to go home early. She relented, partly because she didn't want to have any issues transforming back before he returned to her house, in case he decided to go back earlier than usual. There was a creak as a door opened downstairs, and soft footsteps padded up the narrow staircase to Marinette's attic room. The trapdoor opened. Marinette crawled to the edge of her bed and looked down. Green eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, catching the light from her window. "Hey, Cat Noir." "Good evening, Princess." It sounded like he was trying to keep his tone light, but fatigue was evident in his voice. "I'd like to thank you again for letting me stay." "Don't worry about it," Marinette answered. She rested her arms on the rail and gazed down at Cat Noir. "Won't you join us for dinner tomorrow? My parents are inviting you." Marinette's mother had told her that Cat Noir usually greeted them in the morning on his way out, sometimes even volunteering to help them set up for the day. But since he had begun staying at the dupain-cheng residence 4 days ago, they had yet to sit down for a proper meal altogether. "I can't. Sorry. It's not that I don't want to. I just have things to do." His answer bothered her. She knew he'd be out patrolling again, and while any civilian would have unquestioningly respected his duty, as Ladybug she knew he didn't really have to do it. He was just hiding behind the excuse. Swallowing her frustration, she tried again. "What about Sunday brunch at least? It's the only day my dad can have breakfast with us because of the bakery." "Sure," he answered after some thought. "They're being so kind to me after all." His tone was soft as he ducked into the tent. Good, Marinette thought. That was a step in the right direction. She hoped anyway. She heard him click on the orb lamp by her sewing machine, and a dull glow bled through the curtain and filled the room. "Do you mind if I keep the light on for a bit? I haven't finished my homework yet." "No problem," Marinette answered. "But why don't you just come and do your homework here after school?" "Sounds nice, Princess, but I have a duty to the city." "I know you have a life and obligations outside of being a superhero." "That life isn't important." "Don't say that. Of course it is. And your health is important too. Aren't you overworking yourself?" Marinette protested, her pent-up frustration spilling out. "I read about it on the Lady blog. Crime levels have dropped since you and Ladybug appeared, and the police can take care of normal crimes, so there's no need for you to patrol so long every day. How are you supposed to fight Akumas if you're sleep-deprived?" His answer was quiet and cold. "I'm sorry to say this, but you don't understand." The words felt bitter in Marinette's gut. Of course he would think she didn't understand. Who was a civilian to judge what fell within a superhero's line of duty? She understood, but it didn't make his cold dismissal any easier to bear. Constantly running into a brick wall when she tried to reach out to Cat Noir, both as Marinette and Ladybug, was wearing down on her, making her feel like she was a nuisance, like it would be better to just give up trying. She forced out a terse response. "Okay, you're right." Marinette laid back in her bed, curled on her side, feeling the futility of her position make a pit in her stomach. "Fine, I won't talk to him then." She didn't move as he left for the bathroom and came back, calling off his transformation. She heard him sit down in her rolling chair, then the sound of his stylus tapping on his tablet. Closing her eyes, she tried to sleep, but she wasn't used to the light and kept tossing and turning. "Is the light bothering you?" Cat Noir asked. "I can finish tomorrow." "No, it's fine," Marinette answered. She pulled the covers over her head. The light clicked off anyway, and she threw off the covers. No, really, Cat, just finish it. I'm done already, he answered. Well, almost. I'll just do it tomorrow morning. Get some rest. Good night. Marinette sighed, feeling frustrated, but she didn't argue. She hadn't meant to send him the signal that she was bothered. She just felt out of sync with him tonight. That was unusual and uncomfortable. She rolled over to face the wall, meeting Tiki's big blue eyes gazing compassionately at her from the crevice in her cat pillow's neck. She craved the pep talk that Tiki surely wanted to give her, but the Kwami had to stay mute for now. Marinette closed her eyes, trying to get to sleep. It was maybe 20 minutes later when she heard it, as she did every night. A soft sniffling every few seconds. He was trying to be quiet, but in an otherwise silent room, every little sound was amplified. Not wanting to embarrass him, she just stared into the darkness, feeling useless. It was pointless trying to sleep now, though. For the past few nights, she hadn't been able to sleep while he cried. She just felt tense. She wanted to help, but she didn't have any options. She felt like the moment she spoke, he would put on the act of being okay, bottling up his emotions even more. Better to just let him cry. This time, the sniffling was accompanied by a loud grumbling sound that must have been his stomach. A thought occurred to Marinette. Cat Noir, she said, sitting up abruptly and coming to the side of the bed. Have you eaten? The crying stopped and he went silent for a few seconds, probably mortified to have been caught. Finally, he made a sound. There was another pause before he answered. Your mom gave me a croissant this morning? Cat! Marinette hissed. Her heart twinged. She felt terrible for not having thought about it and set out meals for him. She had subconsciously assumed he was buying his meals while he was out, since normal people didn't go 18 hours or more every day without eating. But how much money could he have to be buying meals every day? She bolted out of bed and down her ladder. It's fine, Cat Noir said from inside the tent, sounding congested from the tears. I have money to buy food when I get hungry. Are you waiting until you're about to faint from starvation? I'm just trying to save it, since, He trailed off awkwardly, seeming embarrassed to give her this insight into his situation. Obviously, the money would run out at some point. I'm getting you dinner, Marinette said with determination. We live in a bakery. There's plenty of food. I didn't want to impose, Cat Noir said. You save us all practically every day, Marinette retorted. There's no such thing as you imposing. I'll be back. She was back up the stairs soon, with a ham and cheese pie and a cup of leek soup on a tray with utensils wrapped in a fabric napkin. She lifted the corner of the curtain and slipped the tray inside Cat Noir's tent. Don't worry about taking the dishes down. I'll get them tomorrow. Thanks, he murmured. You're too good to me. Nonsense. She sat on the ladder to her bed as Cat Noir audibly dug into the food. Some of the frustration she had been feeling about Cat Noir's situation loosened. I'm sorry I didn't offer you anything earlier. I wouldn't have expected you to. Well, I should have anyway. Don't be shy if you need anything, okay? Family shares things and eats together, she said. Cat Noir paused at her words. I wouldn't know anything about that, he mumbled bitterly. If your family is screwed up, can you at least let us be your family? After a long moment, Marinette heard him sniffle again. She really wanted to go inside and give him a hug, but he was in civilian form now. I'm sorry, she just said quietly. I didn't mean to make you cry. Why would you care about me that much? To treat me like family? His words twisted Marinette's heart. Why not? Even my own... He stopped talking abruptly, probably realizing he was about to say something off limits. Instead, he said, I guess I'm realizing I have a messed up sense of what's normal. What do you mean? You know I can't answer that. His voice sounded resigned, like he wanted to say more but wasn't allowing himself to do so. Marinette forced herself to let it go. His duty as a superhero came first, as much as that hurt to accept. It was a few moments before he started eating again. Marinette stayed on the steps, and they chatted quietly about harmless topics until Cat Noir was done. The tension between them had dissipated. Marinette realized maybe there was something she could do. She had been trying to face the situation head-on and meeting failures and dead ends at every angle. But even though she couldn't fix Cat Noir's problems, the least she could do was bring something positive to his life, however small, even if that was just making sure he was fed and distracting him with small talk. Marinette hoped that he had taken some comfort from the midnight meal and having someone to spend time with, at the very least. After that night, she made it a habit to do homework or sketch in the living room until he came back, no matter how late it was, so she could make sure he had at least one proper meal a day. Thank you for listening to Chapter 4 of Nowhere Else to Go. I'd appreciate if you leave a like or a comment to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for updates. Until next time!